Pituitary gland.
Pituitary gland emerges from the base of the hypothalamus. So the neurons which are present in the hypothalamus, they secrete the hormones, and the hormones will reach the pituitary gland. Now they are divided into an anterior portion as well as a posterior. So there is an anterior pituitary gland and a posterior pituitary gland. The posterior pituitary gland is also called as neurohypophysis, and the anterior pituitary is called as adenohypophysis. The hormones secreted into the anterior pituitary gland from the hypothalamus comes from the hypothalamic neurons, and they enter into a portal circulatory system. From there the hormones gets released into the adenohypophysis or the anterior pituitary gland. The anterior pituitary gland in case of the human beings are divided into two parts. One is called as pars distalis. Pars distalis, and the other part is called as pars intermedia. Now we will take a look at the hormones secreted by the pars distalis of anterior pituitary gland or adenohypophysis. So these are the hormones and their functions that is released by the anterior pituitary gland. So whatever hormones are released by the hypothalamic neurons, they are actually releasing hormones or they can be inhibiting hormones. They come through the neurons, they enter the portal circulation, and they will stimulate the pituitary glands to release their hormones. So the anterior pituitary gland hormones are as follows, especially the pars distalis part. First is the growth hormone. Growth hormone, their function is they help in the growth of the body, but if it is over secreted, it will lead to gigantism. And if it is under secreted, it will lead to dwarfism. So gigantism means excess of body growth, and dwarfism means shortness or being short. The next hormone is prolactin. Prolactin hormone secreted by pars distalis part of adenohypophysis helps in the formation of milk in mammary glands during the pregnancy. Thyroid stimulating hormone stimulates the thyroid gland to produce thyroid hormones. Adrenocorticotropic hormones stimulate the adrenal cortex to produce glucocorticoids like cortisol that helps in the metabolism. Luteinizing hormone stimulates the testes to produce male sex hormone, and it stimulates the ovaries to release egg from the Graafian follicles. Next is follicle stimulating hormone. Follicle stimulating hormone will stimulate sperm formation or spermatogenesis in males. And if it is in females, the same hormone will stimulate growth of follicles in the ovary in which the egg is formed. Now this is the ovary, means there will be follicle with their cells and egg will be produced within the follicles. So the growth of these follicles is done by the follicle stimulating hormone. And then comes the melanocyte stimulating hormone. Melanocyte stimulating hormone is the only hormone that is secreted by pars intermedia of adenohypophysis. So they act on melanocytes. Melanocytes are those cells present on the skin that can produce the skin pigmentation. Now coming to the posterior pituitary gland. The posterior pituitary gland receives hormones directly from the hypothalamus without the need for a portal circulation. So though they are produced by the hypothalamus, they are stored and released by the pituitary gland. So those posterior pituitary gland hormones or the neurohypophysis hormones are two of them. One is oxytocin. Oxytocin helps in contraction of muscles, contraction of smooth muscles like uterus during the childbirth. So contraction of the uterine muscles during childbirth is one function of oxytocin, and the other function of oxytocin is release of milk from the mammary glands or ejection of milk from mammary glands or breast. That is after the childbirth. Now about vasopressin. Vasopressin is a second hormone produced by the posterior pituitary. It's also called as antidiuretic hormone. So whenever the urine happens to be diluted with excess of water, the blood will be lacking the water. So that water, in order to prevent its release in excess in urine, this hormone will be released. So it is also called antidiuretic hormone because it helps in reabsorption of water from the kidney tubules, and so they can prevent dilute urine loss, water loss through urine.